a month to bring us his geopolitical views, is in Japan. He lives there in Tokyo. Ben, are you online?
Yeah, I'm here.
Thanks for being here. How are you, and how is the general feeling of the people there now? Are they settling down at all?
Well, it seems pretty calm, actually. I mean, the only problem is the trains aren't running properly, and of course the areas that were hit are in bad shape. But Japan is one of the best disaster-prepared nations on Earth. In any other country, if they'd had something like this, we'd have had probably 10 times more dead people, at least.
Mm-hmm.
So, it could have been a lot worse. But nonetheless, there's clearly something going on here that's not just natural. And that's what I'd like to talk about today.
Okay, well, before we get into possible causes of this, I want to get some specifics on what you know about this nuclear plant issue. First of all, Brad Steiger is with me. Ben, say hello to Brad.
Hello, Brad.
Hi, Ben.
All right, we've outlined the nuclear issue, the emergency that has been declared by the Japanese government. We apparently have up to 5 reactors that are in trouble in various stages of inability to cool them down. They've been shut down. They've been damaged. The one particular one, it's Fukushima or something like that, is in very bad. Yeah, it has been emitting radioactive steam all day. Now, and they are officially announcing that they're doing it, but before they announced it, it was clear that there was radiation leaking by way of steam. So they're venting steam now, trying to take the pressure of the core down. The pressure had exceeded by over twice its maximum allowable levels. So that thing was ready to blow. I guess it had a couple more levels to go. But
yeah, all right, look, this is, right now, all they're doing is evacuating 3,000 people in a 3-kilometer radius, okay?
Six.
Well, maybe it's, up to date to 6, but nonetheless, I mean, the power plants are located away from population centers, and I don't think we're going to see anything on the scale of Chernobyl.
Good.
Here's the problem, Ben. Ben, excuse me, here's the problem. Yep. If there is a core meltdown, and they put this one particular complex right on the coast, right on the ocean, if there is a core meltdown, it will go into the ground, the ocean will go into the hole, it will continue to produce steam for God knows how long. These core meltdowns are not a joke. Chernobyl didn't melt down like this, but if this one does, it'll produce steam. Now tell me what happens to steam, ladies and gentlemen. It goes into the air, and it agglutinates, accumulates, and amalgamates. It joins up with weather systems. And where do those weather systems go? They come from Japan across the Pacific. They cross Hawaii if they're down low, but generally they go right to the Pacific West Coast. We could have radiation here in 36 hours if there's a meltdown. That is a scientific fact.
If there's a meltdown.
Correct.
But at this point, there's not a meltdown. And one thing, though, if there is radiation, you've got to eat lots of calcium, apparently. The Japanese have a lot of ways to deal with radiation poisoning.
It's potassium, and that'll only protect your thyroid gland.
I wouldn't at this point be causing people to panic because there's no evidence it's melted down yet where it's going to.
No, but we have to look at all the eventualities, and that is one. They are releasing steam now, and that steam is going to go up.
Then the people in your area need to come up with a plan, a contingency plan, for such an eventuality as they're doing here.
Question is, will our government do that for us? We have to take the initiative and do it for ourselves, and one of the things we can do is consume potassium because that will, it actually binds with iodine and protects the thyroid gland. Now, that said, Ben, 4 trains have been lost. They're gone. No one knows where they are.
Yeah.
Have you heard that?
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, they've got it on TV all the time. At a certain point, it's just so horrific, I turned it off.
Mm-hmm.
But, again, I still want to get to what I think is a real issue, which is the cause of this earthquake. And this is a very important thing.
All right.
I know you don't like...
now, here's the deal. I'm going to let Ben do this because we're friends and colleagues. He has his views, and that's fine. And when he's finished, I'll bring up the other side of it. So we got 2 sides of a coin here. We're going to skip the break and go right through here. So thank you, Network. Just turn that down. Ben, go ahead and please don't get too deeply into it. Just spell it out as best you can.
Okay, I was previously warned specifically by Japanese military intelligence that there would be an earthquake the following day in Niigata Prefecture because of what I wrote about David Rockefeller. I have this on tape. I can prove it. And the next day, there were two 6.8 earthquakes right on top of Japan's largest nuclear reactor, which was not on a fault zone. Okay?
I remember when that happened.
And I remember, there were threats beforehand that they would attack Japan with an earthquake. I've had these threats emailed to me by these people, and it has to do with a fight over control of the global financial system. And furthermore, I've talked to people in the U.S. military intelligence and high up in the CIA, and they both say that the earthquake devices are located in underground bunkers, one in Nevada and one in New Mexico. And even if I'm wrong, it's certainly worthwhile. I mean, if America is really an ally of Japan and we have a mutual defense agreement, then patriotic American troops need to go and make sure that those machines are not in the control of, madmen or people working for the oil companies, okay? And furthermore, and there's another possibility that was given to me by a KGB agent, and I take it seriously because he's provided me evidence. You may be I know this is way off the deep end, but I'm going to say it anyway. There may be a rogue artificial intelligence that's doing this, okay? Even all the entire network of military supercomputers and all that kind of stuff may be doing it without human intervention. That is a possibility you also need to examine. Would it be possible, as a theoretical exercise, for a rogue artificial intelligence to set off these machines or weapons of mass destruction without human intervention? And if so, you need to make sure it can't do that. You have to disable any ability for a non-human actor to do that. It's a possibility. I know it's way out there, but it's a possibility you need to examine. That's all I have to say on that.
Okay, that's fine. Now,
but the other thing I will say, though, is the same people who issued this threat before it happened, I've also threatened to hit the New Madrid fault line, which is in the U.S., all right?
Well, that's something that's been a lot of talk about lately.
Because it's so, it's like, what?
The New Madrid fault is overdue for a slip. We know that.
I understand, and that's why it's easy to hit. You just set off a bomb or hit it with a electromagnetic pulse weapon, it can do it. The point is that you need to make sure that there are no humans who want to do such a thing in control of such machinery within your country. Even if I'm wrong, it's a serious enough risk that there's no harm in making sure that that's not true and making sure that could not happen. It's just like anything. You make, you act to prevent stuff. Even if you think the possibility is rare, it's like a tsunami, if the well is once in 100 years, well, okay, but if it happens, it's horrible. Or if it's a meteorite, it may not happen, but it might, and you might as well be ready and make contingency plans. And then the same is, something is happening. There's something seriously wrong within your military-industrial establishment. There can be no doubt about it. It's morally wrong, and it's economically wrong, and it's destroying your country, and it's causing enormous pain to the rest of the planet.
Well, that's
you are a rogue nation. You have you're invading countries. You're stealing their oil. You're murdering people, and the entire world is just shocked at your government's behavior.
Well, the tragedy of it. You're right.
And they're
you're
trying
right.
to isolate the people.
You're right,
and
Ben.
The tragedy.
The tragedy of it is, it's not the American people. It is the government, which is no longer responsive to the populace here. And I just want to caution everyone out there, when you see this stuff on the internet running around, it's HARP. Oh, no, it's a scalar weapon. Let's look at the geology and the science. Jim Birkeland, who is without question the world's foremost earthquake prediction and mechanical authority, put in his newsletter last month, because of the moon's perigee coming up on the 19th of March, the closest it's been in, 18 years, it will exert tremendous pressure on any number of fault systems around the planet. So we're within a week of that. So you've got the moon perigee, you've also got syzygy and other issues. And then, on top of that, he put this in his newsletter a month ago. Keep in mind, he has an 80+% accuracy rate going back to the 76 World Series earthquake, or so I forget which year it was. Anyway, Jim will be on Monday to talk through all this.
That was the first time they used HARP, too, eh? That was when they attacked China.
It's that was a bizarre.
You can have a guy. You can have, like, they have this psychic in Brazil. They deliberately use this psychic to predict stuff. They actually say, we're going to do such and such a date, and then they go, the gods told me, or I can see in the stars that it's going to happen, and then that person gets a following, and they use that.
Right.
As
well,
a way
Jim
of
is
or making it seem.
Yeah, he's a geologist.
The moon was at perigee 19 years ago, and this didn't happen, did it?
No, it doesn't always happen, of course.
It happens every 18, 19 years. We don't get this kind of stuff every 18, 19 years.
No.
I suspect this guy works for the oil companies, and they tell him in advance what they're going to do, and then he comes up with a pseudo-scientific explanation to make it seem like it's a natural phenomenon. That's my guess.
I have to tell you, I've known him for a long, long time, and he's a true geologist and a scientist and a singular individual. So in any other case, that might be worth considering, but I'll be happy to introduce you to him, and you can spend an hour talking to him, and he is an impeccable human being.
Yeah, he has a solid reputation.
Yeah, he's in his 70s, and he's no flake.
I don't know him, and I don't want to get in slander, but I'm saying that...
no, you're right. They can set people up and play games. Yeah, there's no question that what you're saying is correct, nor does perigee mean a massive catastrophe every 18 years or how often it happens. Yeah. Doesn't happen. It did this time happen on that particular window, which is what Jim calls them. We'll see. The point is...
it is true that Japan is the most earthquake-prone country on Earth, and we were overdue for a large earthquake, and it may well be a natural thing, and it just, it happens to be happening at a coincidental time when there's a battle over control of the financial system is reaching its peak, its final conclusion.
Well, and the China earthquake... The China earthquake, Ben, that you mentioned when it had the colored, you remember, Brad, the colored lights in the sky, broad daylight, that was highly suspicious because the mountain near the village and the city that was so devastated apparently contained an enormous underground military facility, and that mountain was said by the villagers, the city dwellers as well, to be belching gigantic concrete forms out of its top. It was bizarre. So, I concur that was very suspicious.
Okay, I'll also say that the earthquake that they told me they would cause in Niigata was preceded also by a light show in the sky, and I have not heard of such a light show before this earthquake at this point in time.
Right.
So it's not an open and shut case. This is something. But the point I wish to make, and I will repeat it, is you need to examine these possibilities. I mean, especially. Like I say, this is the KGB talking. They're saying they're worried about a rogue artificial intelligence inside the U.S. military-industrial complex computer networks, and it's way out there, but it's possible. I mean, scientifically speaking, it makes sense. I mean, the amount of computers on the internet and all those connections are more than equivalent now to a single human brain.
It's beyond that.
It could happen, and we should prepare. I don't think life is necessarily...
Ben, we don't have a lot of time, but what I want to underscore is what you just said. We should prepare. And for goodness sakes, you've made the point, and it's a very good one, that Japan is the most prepared country in the world for natural and artificial disasters. They are. And in this case, I'm sure they're doing a wonderful job in the area to try to put things in order as quickly as they can. But when Mother Nature, for whatever reason, turns itself loose, you've got nuclear power plants, 55 plants there with multiple reactors in each one of them, basically. They're asking for big trouble. Nuclear power is insane anyhow, in my view. How do you see it?
Well, I see it as a battle between the nuclear and oil lobbies, and I don't think we need either nuclear power or oil as a source of energy.
That's been proven.
I believe that both these lobbies are obsessed with centralized control over power, because 70% of the economy is energy, and if you control the energy, you're like the most powerful man on the country.
All right, I got another question.
And so there's a battle over energy between the global warming nuclear people and the war on terror, i.e. steel oil people, and I think they're both wrong. And there's plenty of energy technologies which, people...
We do know that. And the Japanese, in fact, launched a water-powered small car within the past year, which ought to be...
I found out they sent some goons in to shut down that factory.
They did, huh? Well, not a surprise.
They did. And then they issued a story that it was a fraud. Well, it wasn't.
No, I know.
The Japanese are preparing to release this technology, and we're also going to enroll it in Canada. You could turn, if you got this technology out there, you could turn Canada into a tropical paradise.
Mm-hmm.
You really could.
Okay.
If energy is free or close to free, then there's all sorts of stuff you can do. The problem is you have, if you immediately release this new technology, you would have social collapse and anarchy because, the entire sort of economic social structure is now built on selling energy. And so there has to be a very carefully thought out transition to make sure that all the oil companies have new jobs and new ways of making money so they don't oppose it anymore. And there's a lot they can do. They can go turn deserts green. They can go, build artificial planets. There's so much giant engineering work out there for them.
Mm-hmm.
They don't need to sell oil. And it's like I say, the problem is that the oil industry was controlled originally by gangsters, and it's still controlled by gangsters. And they murder people, and they blackmail people, and they bribe people to keep their control.
Well, and they destroy
and these
entire...
are the people we're worried about, and these are what we've been fighting.
Right.
Anyway, we are happy to hear that things are rebuilding and that there has not been a meltdown, and we
not yet.
pray that will not.
We have one more question, Ben. Ben, one more question, please. We don't know how many people have been killed, injured, or are missing. I got one report today that up to 88,000 people were missing. Now, in the chaos of any kind of a catastrophe, this kind of figure is not to be unexpected. What is the latest figure there of potential casualties from the earthquake?
All right, well, you got to remember, the Japanese government has probably the best statistics in the world, and but I don't know what the latest number is.
All right, if you find out, let me know.
However, yeah, I will. I'll send you a link to the latest article about it. You can put it up on your page.
Good.
But finally, also, I'd like to tell you what they teach the Japanese to do in an event of an earthquake, so people there can know. One thing is, if you can, get out to an open space, and if you can't, don't hide if it's a table with sturdy legs, hide under it. Otherwise, hide in between two solid pieces of furniture, because even if the legs crush, the upper part of the furniture will protect you.
Good.
And the other place that's safe is a door frame, and make sure you turn off all fire-type things, gas burners, anything like that.
Get to the gas line to your house and shut that off.
And if there's a tsunami, you don't run away, you run up. So if you can't get away in time, get into a solid concrete building and go up to the highest floor you can. And that's the advice they've been giving people here, and that has saved an awful lot of lives. Like I say, they could have been millions dead if they hadn't been prepared.
Wow. Okay. All right, Ben. Thank you very much for taking time. Keep me posted, will you, please? And I really appreciate it.
Take care, Ben.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. Ciao. Bye.
Ciao. Is that Chinese? Ciao. Well, he's a true man of the planet, I guess. A man for all seasons. Ciao. Maybe it is Chinese. CHOW, isn't it? All right.
No,
just kidding. Just kidding.